Hi, YouTube. So a little bit of a special video today. Um, Something just happened to happen, basically, and I'm gonna make a video about it. So I was over here, configuring more of this setup, just moving stuff around, consolidating wires, getting a power source for this entire thing, just making sure everything was screwed back in place, just generally finalizing this area, vacuuming all the dirt that was around it, and just general maintenance. And so I was gonna use this power. Basically, it's just a giant power strip. Nothing fancy. It's just quite large. There's switches here that control the outlets on the back. And so I was like, okay, I could have one for the computer, one for the monitor, one for the next computer, etc. And they're labeled. This one controls everything, master. One's for a computer, a monitor, a printer, aux 1 and aux 2 for like accessories like speakers or stuff. So, it's actually pretty nice. I was just going to use it to control the entire setup here and consolidate all these wires on the ground into one wire basically. And so I was just going to put it there, put the monitor on top of it, plug everything into it, and plug that into the wall, so that way it's all nice and tidy. But what happened, and I have used this before, it just hadn't been used in a while. What happened was quite interesting. So I plugged one computer, one monitor. Those work, I tested it. Then I plugged the other computer there, its monitor, and the speakers into these three. Used all the outlets. So that was fine. I turned on the other computer, and then when I went to turn on the other monitor, this thing blew up, basically. I don't know if you can see that, but it completely blew out the switch, and it's completely blackened back there. And I have used this entire thing before, so this is completely new. It tripped the circuit breaker, which is quite odd because this actually has a circuit breaker built into this. And I know these things aren't quite reliable, but this was a direct short across mains. This thing right here should have popped, not the 20 amp circuit breaker that I have installed. This is a 15 amp circuit breaker in this thing apparently. It didn't even do anything. So I was like, okay, clearly when I turned it on, this thing, the monitor that was plugged into it, had a short and shorted it out. So I was like, okay, I'm gonna test the monitor. So I have it up here on my current limited supply with the series light bulb, isolated, turned it on, turned on the monitor, no flames, no sparks, the light doesn't short out, so, it's like 40, 50 watts, maybe a little high if it's not doing anything. But it does turn on, and then turn off immediately. But I'd say this is not the problem. This thing right here, something is definitely wrong with it. Now, it's like, this is not like a cheap Chinese thing, I don't think. This is a Belkin, actually. Power Authority, Belkin Components. This thing is actually quite old. Let's see, it does say made in China, but I believe this thing looks old, so... Oh, wait, there's the date code. 9506, so the 6th week of 95. Temporary power taps, transient voltage surge suppressors. So there's also like a ton of capacitors in here that filter stuff. So it basically also, kind of filters the power. Made for a computer, just a very consolidated power strip that you can put stuff on top of. Quite nice, but after today, first of all, I don't think that switch is going to work again. I think that completely blew out the switch, because the switch, like, literally exploded. This one here, sparks just flew out of this thing when I turned it on. It was quite scary, actually, so... Yeah, I'm going to open this thing up and see exactly what went wrong. Let's get this thing open. This thing is quite... interesting, actually. And when I have opened this up before and taken a look at it before I got it off, used off a junk seller. I was just giving away stuff from an old business, so I just picked this one up. I did open it. Was like, the wiring is kind of sketchy inside. Wires just go everywhere, basically, and if the insulation failed on any of them, it could definitely short out. So I don't know if that's what happened, if the switch just failed, or... Quite weird. This is very odd. Now this should come apart. Maybe it lifts up. It does. Okay. Lifts up and off, probably. There we go. So, yep. There it is. And it stinks inside here. Wow. Whew. Something definitely exploded. So let's see. It was this switch here that probably doesn't work anymore, to be honest. I don't know what could have caused that, though. Maybe the switch just failed? It does switch, Stand by, I'll look at this and see what happened. Doesn't look like anything catastrophic happened. Maybe two wires touched each other here? I don't know. Okay, I still haven't found any problem, anything that looks outright dangerous. I mean, these things aren't insulated at the end, so I'm guessing that's what the problem was. But so basically, from what it looks like, the live wire goes in here. The circuit breaker that is non-existent didn't work. Then it goes up here to the master switch, and this switches basically, yeah. All the neutrals are tied together, by the way. So this neutral is up there. Because all these switches light up. So I think this third contact where the white wire is going, the neutral, is just basically completing a circuit. There's lamps inside each of these. When you switch it on, the light turns on, basically. But this switch is basically just switching the live wire to all of these. So it's switching this black wire to these black wires. And then when these switches are on, it switches those live wires, controlled by that switch, to each of the ones going to the outlet, and basically the neutral over here is tied to the outlets. So basically this switch switches the live wire to go to all these, and these switches switch it to go down here to each of the outlets. All the outlets, the neutrals are tied together, the grounds are tied together, and the case is grounded. These don't look like they're dangerous or anything. So there's a safety capacitor in between live and ground. And there's another one between live and neutral. Yes. And there's another one down here between live. Oh, sorry, wait. Yes, live and neutral, it looks like. And also an X2 capacitor, yep. So those are the transient voltage surge suppression caps, but this is really weird. I don't know what happened. How could this have shorted out so catastrophically? I'm looking for anything, and I mean, yes, it is very possible that some contact here touched another thing. It does flex around a lot, and I do suppose something could have touched the case, which is grounded. But it is painted too, I think. It's not really conductive. So, I don't know. Quite strange on what happened here. Well, I don't feel safe using this, so I'm going to go plug it into my current limited source and see if it, makes the light up, if it's still shorted out. Alright, I did not get that on camera, but it just happened again. I'm plugged up here into my current limited source. So let's go ahead and turn all these switches off that I'm going to do with a screwdriver, because I don't trust any of them now, pretty much. Okay, so nothing happens. No current. Alright, so here's the master switch. It lights up. Some of the lights are burnt out on some of these. Again, this is kind of old. So master lights up, doesn't do anything weird. Okay, computer 1, monitor 1, printer, aux, all do nothing. Basically, I switch on, they do what they're supposed to do. So what I think happened here, because it happens occasionally, it is the switch. I switched it on, and instead of connecting, basically instead of connecting this to here, or something like that, instead of connecting the lives together, it either, two cases. One, also connects the live here to the neutral here, which shorts it out. Remember, this neutral here is supposed to be for the light inside it, so it can complete the circuit with the light on. So it switches basically both of these, or it switches this contact here, the live coming in, to both the live and the neutral. And it switches the live to the live here, and switches the live through the light to the neutral. So A, it's accidentally switching the live directly to the neutral, or B, the light burned out, and there is no light inside here. It did burn out. The light inside it is shorting out and connecting the live to the neutral. See? It just basically exploded. And hopefully that burned out whatever was in there. It's unreliable, though. It's done it like a ton. So one time, off camera, it actually lit up the light, indicating it was completely short-circuited. So yeah, I think I'm just not going to use that switch. I'll tape over it or something. But now I'm suspect of all of these switches. Especially the ones where the light is flickering. Like, that light is flickering in there. That one's also flickering. That one's still on. But, yeah, something is definitely not right here. Can't believe this video is already 13 minutes long. It's not going to do it now. If I switch it on, I do have 127, so... Something is clearly wrong with that switch, and I don't feel comfortable using it. Oh, you know what I could do, though? I could just desolder the neutral wire, and then it has no chance of shorting out. Yeah, that would work. I think I'm going to do that. I think I'm just going to take the neutral wire. I think I'm just going to cut that wire. I don't care about having lights on there as long as it has the possibility of shorting out like that. You know what? That's just what I'm going to do. Sorry. I'm just not going to have lights because I don't want these switches to short out. Yeah. Sorry. I know it kind of sucks. The lights are cool. The light up switches are cool, but I just don't want this to happen again. So instead of throwing this out, I'm just going to cut that neutral wire that switches the lights on. Hopefully this makes sense. I get like I do buy cheap Chinese stuff. I do sketchy hacked on repairs with computers, but I draw the line at stuff that's connected to the mains. In fact, I should probably upgrade. My current limited supply up there is actually something I built myself with wires basically connected directly to the mains, a transformer, a current limited source. So I actually did explain in a video that I didn't actually put up on YouTube what that is. That's an isolation transformer with adjustable voltage and a current limited source. So people normally have an isolation transformer, a variac, and a series light bulb. I basically built it from scratch and combined all three of those elements into one thing. Also, that gives me voltage and current readouts there. And with the ability to turn the current limit on or off. So actually, it's pretty nice. Very straightforward, easy to build, but again, I used proper rated wire for the main stuff. I double-checked all my solder connections. I isolated everything with electrical tape. I used, so all the stuff. The only dangerous part about that build is that it's built in a cardboard box, which I should probably build in a metal box. It was an old build. I was younger back then. I built that thing. So I probably should at some point upgrade it to a metal box. But yeah, with this stuff, with mains, electricity, it is very nasty to get shocked. Very nasty for something to go wrong. And I do want to trust the outlets that I plug stuff into, so I'm sorry, but that wire is going to have to go. Alright, well, I'll just go ahead and cut it really quickly. Alright, and there it is. I just cut both ends, isolated them with electrical tape, so they don't have a chance of touching the casing or each other, causing any more damage like that. So basically this thing should work, because now all these, since the neutrals are disconnected, all these switches are doing is switching the live down to these outlets. Though, you know what, I should probably take this a step further and just isolate all of these contacts with electrical tape. I'll probably do that off camera. I think I'm just going to go through and, yeah, put electrical tape on all these, because it's so weird that they just left the bare contacts sticking there without isolating them. Like, that live and that neutral are really close together. So, yeah, heat shrink or something on that would be pretty good. So let's go ahead and turn it on and try to switch these on. So notice the light doesn't light up because I've disconnected that part of the circuit. Gonna switch the... Yep, looks good. Of course, I'm going to do it several more times, but I think that's the problem. So yeah, let's see. That does look like it did it. So, yep, whatever that was, whatever that light inside the switch was shorting out or something, that light never worked, by the way. It's not like it just burned out and that happened. It's actually been kind of reliable for a long time, but some piece of filament may have shorted something. I don't know. I don't know what I'm talking about, basically. So let's go ahead and just test this really quickly. So I'm going to measure resistance of a normal switch. When this switch is open circuit, actually now it's closed circuit. When the switch is closed circuit like this, it's switching the live wire. And when the switch is off, there's no resistance there. Now, it's just switching the live wire to this wire. This wire and this wire are connected by the light bulb inside, which is burned out in this case. So, doesn't matter if it's on or off, there'll be some resistance here. 43 mega ohms for this burned out light bulb. For this one, the light bulb is still good. It's about 500K. So the light in that one's still good. But in the switch that's burned out, it still switches the exact same. So here is switching the live wire. Now the switch is off, it's disconnected. Right, there's no circuit there. I'm actually reading some resistance, which is weird. But in this case over here, I have 11 ohms where the light is supposed to be. I think I do. I have 11 ohms. Is that going to happen again, or is this thing just going to be different every time I film it? Yeah, well, 40 ohms, something like that. Really low resistance there. So that's the short that was happening. It was shorting 40 ohms, which would drop down to basically 0. The light inside it is basically shorting out randomly. So it's shorting the live to neutral, so I disconnected the neutral to all the lights. So I'd rather have no lights than something shorting out. Yeah, but I think that's about gonna do it for this video. I think that's everything. So an unreliable switch light shorts out, and it shorts out the mains and trips the circuit breaker. The other worrying thing is why this circuit breaker didn't trip. Now, I guess it's just old and unreliable, but I mean, I've tested these. They do trip under fault currents. Maybe they're just not very fast. Maybe the 20 amp one I have is faster than that. Because I know if I do overload these, like too much current, like I plug in something that draws 20 amps into a 15 amp breaker, these things will pop. But I haven't tested short circuit current, so maybe they're not fast enough to do that. Anyway, I guess that about does it for this video. Yeah, I thought it was unreliable wires shorting out, but turns out it's actually the switch itself. That's kind of weird. So yeah, thanks for watching, and yeah, always double check, or at least stress test the device you're gonna put into service before you suddenly put it into service. I thought I did open this up and it looked fine, so I just was like, okay, it's fine, I'm just gonna go ahead and use it, when clearly there was something wrong in this thing. I don't know why. The light in this one never worked. It's not like it suddenly burnt out and shorted. It was burnt out when I got it. It was this light, and this light that worked. None of the other ones did. So clearly this thing was turned on a lot for those lights to burn out. Yeah, so I didn't know that they could short out like that. I do actually have some similar things. Some of these pilot lights, they're called. They just are like incandescent lights that run on 120 volts. Actually, I use some up there in my setup with the isolation transformer. So maybe those were just unreliable. I didn't know that these could short out, because if these are right across the mains, then you clearly want these to be safe and to burn out open circuit and not short circuit. Or maybe it's just the switch is just dirty and it shorts out inside. I don't know. Anyway, thanks for watching this video. Hope you learned something, and I'll see you next time.